So, does speaking up against the patriarchy mean that I hate all men? Firstly, I'd like to thank you guys for all of the support on the male podcasters video. And secondly, I'm making a follow-up video because far too often women will go against the patriarchy and then they're silenced and told that we're making unfair generalizations based off of what we see on the internet. Now, what's hilarious about, the comment that I got is that I've made it abundantly clear that the main goal for my channel is to build a community. So if I want to build a community, obviously I love people, and that includes men. I just also can expect better of the men that I want to be in community with. So for starters, I can confidently say that my opinion about men and masculinity as a social construct is well-rounded and valid. I started off the previous video by empathizing with men. I acknowledged what men go through, and I gave them solutions and alternatives to being in the manosphere. I also defined masculinity as a socially constructed gender performance, in that men act a certain way to uphold the patriarchy, hoping that they can eventually benefit from the patriarchy. Patriarchy only really works for rich men who already have power, right? So this means that the poor men don't really have any power, don't really own anything, and the most that they can do is punch down. Instead of joining forces with women in a patriarchal society, men will always think that they're in competition with us, especially because we can work and we can vote and we can be autonomous with our bodies. And legislation, all of these things are slowly taking away women's rights, but they're doing that to, simulate a form of control for everyday men, when in reality, the only people who have the control are the rich people. Obviously, they try to simulate different classes and different types of neighborhoods. But if you have to work, then you're working class. If you can't quit your job and, just live, you are working class. But I just had to throw that in there because I feel like, a lot of men in my comments, or just literally in general, they're licking the boot, but they're not realizing that the boot is kicking them in the face. And it's kicking everyone in the face. And if you don't have generational wealth, you'll probably never be wealthy. And if you have to work, even if you're somebody else's boss, if you have to work, you're still a part of the working class, which means you ain't rich enough and the government still has control over you. I don't believe that women are above men, but I also don't believe that men are above women. When men know that women don't see them in a way that idolizes them or puts them on a pedestal or a platform, that's when they start to get oppressive, and that's when they start punching down, and that's when they, start voting against us. All of it is about control. And when you realize who has the most control, it's not even really men themselves. It's just rich people. When you acknowledge the fact that rich people are, lobbying and buying politicians and pretty much swaying each industry, then you can, stop fighting against women. But that is not a part of the script. That is not a part of the script. Let's stick to the script. Okay. So, yes, masculinity is a socially constructed gender performance. Men act a certain way to uphold the patriarchy. Women do the same. That's what femininity is, right? Hoping that they will eventually benefit from the patriarchy, even though only rich men benefit from the patriarchy, right? I explained that, even though it was off the script. Now, people who argue that, oh, masculinity is not a social construct, I ask them, okay, then what are masculine traits? And they say strong, stoic, intelligent, protective, leadership. But the truth is that those are just human characteristics. Anyone can be strong. Anyone can be stoic. Anyone can be intelligent and protective and a leader. None of these traits are inherently male or female at all. Not even in nature. Not even in nature. Like when you think of a mother lion or a mother, bear, they're really, really strong and protective, and they have to lead. So, even in nature, all of those things kind of go out the window. But then let's talk about feminine traits. Feminine traits are being meek, mild-mannered, being quiet, being nurturing, anything that is akin to being in servitude of someone else is attributed to women. And, I don't like that. That's sexist. Women can do anything that men can do. People place roles onto the genders, and they do it because they think that that's how society runs better. It usually has something to do with religion too, but we don't have to go into that, okay? But the main idea is that masculinity, femininity, all of those things are social constructs. They want to put people into roles, again, so we don't join forces together, and do what we need to do. Let's just move away from masculinity and the patriarchy, all of these things. I have a very well-rounded and open-hearted opinion on everyone, really, but especially men, because I got a man. I love my man. I love my man. I love my relationship. We're actually very, very happy together. I actually just got back home yesterday from being at his house. So, yeah, I love men. And if I have a male child, I'll love him all the same. I don't have anything against men. I've met really cool guys. But we shouldn't ignore the very real statistics, and very real, personal encounters that women have that, validate a very real fear that women have of men. And I think that, two things can be true at one time. Yes, not all men are bad, but to a woman, all men can be scary until proven otherwise. Yes, not all men are violent, but, it is pretty much up to every woman to protect ourselves in the case that we do encounter a violent man. And, I've took the liberty to just put some statistics just so you can see the numbers for yourself. Look up these statistics on domestic violence, on femicide, on, SA, things of that nature. Look it up and you'll see who is the problem. But y'all don't want to talk about that. What I do not like, though, is that men can be shown the facts, the figures, and they can hear endless stories about what real life women have experienced, and they will still say that women are unreasonably triggered, that we are unreasonably cautious, and that we're just bitter. My question is, how are women not supposed to be bitter when women are being victimized in and out of our own home? How are women supposed to know which men are good and which men are bad when men don't make good effort to show their goodness? In short, these statistics are clear. And if you don't want women to assume that you're dangerous, don't give her a reason to. And if you see that men around you aren't safe for women, be bold and call them out. And if you find yourself wanting to argue with me, ask yourself, what kind of person are you and what do you stand for?